the Workforce Connections podcast, where we discuss workforce development in Southern Nevada. Here's your host.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the WC podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We've been waiting for her for months now. I've been privileged to spend time with her, but I want to welcome Danielle Casey, the new President and Chief Executive Officer of the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, and also my fellow Vegas Chamber trustee, and also a member of the Workforce Connections Board. Danielle, welcome.
Thank you. We do have so many connections, don't we?
So much in common. Yeah, that's the point. So to get us started, since you are new to town, those of us who have gotten to know you already are excited about the impact you're going to have here. And but why don't you tell our audience, our listeners, where you grew up, where you went to school, perhaps even post-secondary, your skill acquisition journey. Take us to maybe your first job.
All right. Everything but my social. Right. I've told you I'm not giving that up. Thank you for the question. I was a military kid. So my dad went to the Air Force Academy, and he and my mom met during that time. And we were stationed where I was born in Fort Worth. My dad loves to tell the story now that I was born in a women's prison, because the military base shut down and they've converted the hospital into a women's prison. He thinks that's funny. My mother does not think that that's funny. But we were in Fort Worth, and we were transferred up to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. And then when I was 10, we went to Montgomery, Alabama, when Dad was in Air Command and Staff College, and then to Barksdale Air Force Base in Shreveport, Louisiana. So I think all of the accents and all the places I've been, Dad being from Buffalo, Mom being from Texas, it all just evens itself out. So nobody can really tell where I'm from. But I spent middle school through high school in the Shreveport area. So you asked about my first job, which, so I'll talk about college here in a second, because my first job was the day I turned 15. So I've had a full-time job ever since then, and it was an Eckerd drugstore.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot, learned some great work ethic there. And you know what's really wild? You asking that today, our team icebreaker and our team meeting this morning was your first job. So it's like, it's coming full circle for me just today. But then my college years were even more exciting. My folks had been divorced, and then my mom and she met up with my stepdad at the high school reunion. They were both military kids. So my mom and my stepdad now, since I was 19, I'll let you guess how long that was, but you don't have to. Anyway, he's been my stepdad for a massive amount of time in my life, and he's just wonderful. But they were both stationed in the Philippines as high school kids, went to school with Chuck Yeager's kids. If y'all know, Chuck Yeager broke the speed of sound. So kind of a very interesting family dynamic there. But she went to the high school reunion years after my folks had been divorced, and they met up, and he lived in Salt Lake. And she said, well, I have to leave Shreveport. I've got to go, pursue my life with this man in Salt Lake. So I started school at LSU in Shreveport, Louisiana State College. Then I followed mom and stepdad, went to University of Utah for 2 years. And then his job transferred them to Phoenix. And they wooed me with palm trees and got me to go down to ASU. It was also the very good-looking young man that worked for my stepdad that they made him tour me around ASU. He had no interest in me, by the way. He had a lovely girlfriend, but it convinced me to do that. So I always get a kick out of the fact that I went to 3 different state U's as part of my bachelor years, bachelor's degree year. And early in my career as well, I did get a master's in administration, because for a while I thought I might be a city manager.
Yeah. And so tell us next about that, because again, I've now gotten to know you and heard the story. We're very lucky as a region to have you, because you have that experience in those different sectors. And so tell us about the states where you were and what you were doing.
Sure. So from an economic development standpoint, Jaime, I don't know anybody in economic development that intended to get in there. Very few people. I would say I could count probably on one hand how many people said, I want to be an economic developer, and that's my career goal. Yeah. I hope to change that. We're all working through our international group to try to create more economic developers and more pursuit. But for whatever reason, a lot of us fall into this. And at the time, I was a couple of years out of school. Actually, my first job out of college was with the Heard Museum of Native Culture and Art. If anyone's been there, it's an amazing institution in Phoenix, founded in 1929, beautiful Native traditions there. anyway, so I was working in museums and nonprofits, and I drove to qualify, meaning I bought a house out in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the housing boom because that was as much house as I could qualify for. And lo and behold, it was in a community that the third generation farmers out there had sold a whole bunch of land to developers, and all these houses were going up. It had been 1,500 people for decades and decades. And all of a sudden they had entitled so much property, it would be 150,000 people. I moved out there and I went, boy, it's kind of a bummer driving 45 minutes to downtown Phoenix. I wonder what jobs are close. I got hired as the number 12 employee ever on the books for the city of Maricopa on the south side of Phoenix. And we went, while I was with that organization, we went from 1,500 people in the community to 45,000 in about 8 years. And that's how I accidentally got into economic development. I went as an assistant to the city manager. And about 60 days later, they said, well, economic development is a priority for the city council. Go do whatever the consultant says you need to do and help them out. So it was kind of a fast forward from that.
That's where I started. And how did California come about?
Oh gosh. Well, so the city of Maricopa. So I did economic development in a very rural community on the south side of Phoenix that was growing rapidly. So I got the opportunity to do a lot of firsts there in Maricopa. First redevelopment agency, first strategic plan for economic development and for the community. We were dealing with floodplain issues. So I'm very familiar with the challenges we have in the desert Southwest. So all of those things. And then I ran economic development for Scottsdale, Arizona. So local government, but two different sides of the spectrum. And then I was lured out to go help rebuild a regional organization in Greater Sacramento by a mentor of mine who had run the Greater Phoenix Economic Council for about a decade, and a really, really amazing guy. Came out of the Rust Belt, founded Southwest Michigan First. It's a great economic development agency. He worked in Toledo and had gotten to Phoenix. So he got lured out to California and he gave me a call, and I'll never forget. He said, you know, he decided to leave Phoenix and take that role because he believed if you could change Sacramento, you could change California. If you can change California, you can change the country. And they are doing amazing work. I was out there for 2 years, and then I had the opportunity, which I wasn't looking for, to go and run my own shop in Albuquerque. Yeah. And at the time, every amazing opportunity I've had, I was never looking for. I wasn't looking for this one, which is why it's so incredible to be here, because I do believe you end up where you should be. I really, really do. So I was in Sacramento, got a call about Albuquerque, and I went, well, I love this guy. He's just a great mentor and leader. He'll understand, because he just signed a new contract, and I didn't come here to work for him for 7 years. I came here to learn how to run my own shop. And so it was a really amazing chance to also go to an organization that was at a period of inflection and change in New Mexico. It had had the same leader for 25 years who had done wonderful things, but they were very ready to kind of go, well, what's next? And we were coming out of COVID during that time. So it was a wonderful time of discovery and reset. And I think we have one of the reasons I was so amazingly drawn to this role is I see us being at that same type of time here.
Yeah, and when everybody's excited, Danielle, about your arrival here, again, you bring the credentials. What would you say as an economic developer are these three states that we've talked about now, Arizona, California, and here in Nevada? What are the different opportunities, challenges that the three states either share or don't, from your perspective?
Yes, so it's a really amazing parallel in so many ways. So I'll kind of hit on the Phoenix market. What I watched that market do throughout, especially the first, large chunk of my career, early 2000s through it, I left there in 2018. I watched Greater Phoenix be a call center and data center operation. In the early 2000s, that's what we were chasing. It was not the high-tech TSMCs, if you're familiar.
Microchip.
Absolutely. TSMC is the largest foreign direct investment in our country ever. For silicon wafer chip manufacturing. Unbelievable. It didn't happen on accident. You have to rewind about 20 years when the president of ASU, Michael Crow, sat down with the mayor at the time in Phoenix, and they said, we have a fundamental ethical responsibility to raise up the lives and the quality of outcomes for everyone in the state. And they decided to do all kinds of things with the college and university and investment downtown. And they designed that university and the market for the economy they wanted. So it was really amazing watching that. So I see that parallel and I look at us here and I go, I know we can do these things. You have to have the right vision, the right leadership and alignment. What they had also, though, from the late 80s, early 90s, as they did. So for about 10 years before that happened, they had regional alignment. They had a regional economic development organization that brought all the mayors together and said, hey, we know that everybody wants to win for their own community, but we have to look at this as a rising tide raises all boats, because what happens to one community that's 20 minutes from another affects each other. Companies are looking at regions and markets. They are not looking at municipal borders. So that was interesting. When you look at Sacramento, and we think about markets that have a dominance of certain industry sectors, Sacramento, highly dominant with government jobs. So 1.5 times the amount of government jobs per capita than the average market. Same thing in New Mexico. New Mexico is highly dependent on government jobs, the national labs, other things like that, big military base. So I've learned a lot of these lessons that they're unique, the way they're applied or the way they affect each market. But there's a little bit of a common thread where if you can take that learning and that experience and apply it in your new community, not unlike us having a dominant industry here, obviously with gaming, which I think is a beautiful part of our economy and heritage. New Mexico as a state is actually, they're the second largest oil and gas producer in the country. The Permian Basin is unbelievably huge. That state is massively reliant on oil and gas revenue. Nobody thinks about that when you think about New Mexico. So when we think here about our reliance on gaming and tourism revenue, it's a different industry, but it's a similar challenge.
I never would have thought of them as number 2.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Now, Danielle, one of the things I was fun learning about you, again, you've painted the professional trajectory to here. But I love the story where you said there was a personal side that you always had a tie to Vegas,
Yeah.
So share that, because I love to hear that story about how when you visited with family and now you have your mom here. So share that with our listeners.
So 2 weeks after the Great War, my grandfather called my grandmother and they had only known each other a few weeks. And he said, her name was Irene Dolores Hernandez. He said, Irene, meet me in Vegas. So that's how my family started coming to Vegas, right after the war. And so probably very typical. But because my whole family, they were all military, my mother's older sister, she's a couple of siblings, her older sister who's now passed, they were in Hawaii because she had married an Army guy. And so in their infinite wisdom, after really enjoying Las Vegas and having an affinity to it because of my grandparents, they decided the only logical place for the family to meet was always going to be in Vegas. So my aunt got married there, her second marriage, my mom and my stepdad got married there. It's a whole thing. I got married here. So it's definitely been a big piece of our heart. When you're in Phoenix, we obviously came out quite a bit. So I've probably been out here at least once to twice a year since the early 90s. And my first experience that I definitely remember was my aunt's wedding. I was 13. I had to babysit cousin TJ. He was 18 months old. He's in his 30s now. But the kid screamed bloody murder. He was crawling around on the floor. I was terrified. It was horrible. And I was like, why do I have to watch this kid in Vegas? And I'm 13. But time passes pretty quick and then you can enjoy it. Yeah.
I loved it that we were at that gala a couple of weeks ago and Mom was here having fun as well now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. She's mapping out my yard to see where and how a casita could fit.
Nice.
So very excited.
Nice.
It's really fun too. When I was exploring this opportunity, how excited my family was. The other piece about picking this market, I was very adamant that if I were to make another move out of New Mexico, that it would have to be a place I could see myself retiring in.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's very good for us. Because
I'm tired of going to the DMV, right? Which I did this weekend, so I'm official.
Good. So because you're new, I know a lot of stuff is online, but that one you had to go.
Yeah, so I had to register cars and get driver's licenses and all that stuff.
All right.
But it's, one and done. Now it's handled.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, it gets better because I don't know when the last time I've been there. Now you can renew almost everything online. So Yeah.
I have to give them some props. The woman who helped me, her name was Day. She spent about an hour and 20 minutes with me, and she was the most delightful person ever.
Nice.
The DMV gets a bad rap. I had a wonderful experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to her then.
Absolutely.
That's good. So Danielle, let's get back to the LVGEA because the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance, they've heard us talking on this podcast a lot because we've had several trustees, we've had your predecessors here, but from your perspective, tell us, our audience, what you believe the LVGEA's mission is and what its impact it can have on shaping Southern Nevada.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. Our mission, it's going to be interesting. So you're giving me a little in to say, I think it's a very important time for us to jump into some strategy work and reinforce, revisit, validate, and maybe probably update our mission and vision statements for the organization. But in general, what does a regional economic development organization do? A lot of folks may or may not realize that we're also a partner with the Governor's Office of Economic Development. Since 2012, state law created a program where we're actually a regional development agency. Yep. So we work on their behalf as a contractor or a partner to do business attraction and growth in our market. So our primary goal is to first respond to any inquiries that GoEd is receiving on behalf of the region. Put that information together, vet companies, help them identify and locate sites, help them through the process of applying for any abatements or incentives, help them connect with the community, help by referring them to partners like you. And I had a wonderful lunch today with 4 different chambers at the lunch who were welcoming me. And we talked about how we need to, continue to streamline how we do those handoffs, which is a great thing. But that's our job, as well as going out and identifying companies and influencers and decision makers for companies to make sure they are aware and putting us on their radar for locating and making an inward business investment here. So I always call it, marketing regionally so that we can, sell and close locally. So another piece that regional economic development groups, I always see it as the site selection process. So site selectors and companies, if they're looking for a new location or a place to grow, they're probably looking at more than one place. They're probably going, okay, maybe there's these 4 or 5 markets that could make sense for us. Now let's evaluate what the best business case is. It is our job to make sure we stay on their list. We don't want to get down selected out. So our job as a regional group is to keep us on the list. And then once they've decided, you're right, Southern Nevada is where we're going to go, then we help facilitate them working with the local communities, because it is up to Henderson or North Las Vegas or the county, Mesquite or Boulder City to then close the deal. And it's got to be a good opportunity for the community and for the business.
Well said, Danielle. And we at Workforce Connections always, we believe, and we say it a lot, that, the economy can't grow, or a small business can't grow without the talent that they need. And so for us, workforce development is economic development.
100%.
And we think that investing in people and in skills is a priority for us and to meet the economic development goals of our region, of our state. So what is your, and again, I know you believe in that as well, but why would you say it's important to make sure that we're investing in people so that we're creating the right workforce?
I think you just said it. We've got to invest the people. One of the roles for our group is to also be looking at economic indicators, what industries are growing, what's going to be happening in the future, what fits with our location and our natural assets, right? So first, let's figure out what industries work for us, what industries are going to be growing long-term, and working with our workforce providers to make sure that we're giving you that information. So you're designing training programs to keep people here. I don't like brain drain. I don't like losing our kids to other markets. Some of them are going to want to go do something cool anyway and get away from the folks. But it's always, it always gives me a bad feeling when it's because they don't think there's opportunity in their local community. So we have to design for that. The number 1, number 2 mark, when there's some different surveys that go out nationally every other year to corporate leaders as well as site consultants, and it's all about the top site selection criteria and access to talent and also the competitive cost of labor and but really more so the access to that labor in a market is number one, number two, always. If you can't provide a place for them to do business, first you need a building and a site. Once you have that and you go, look, you could be in this lovely building. We can figure out how to make it competitive to other markets. If you don't have the talent, that doesn't matter, and vice versa.
Yeah, and I love, we spent a few minutes preparing for the podcast. I got to show you how we're working in the K through 12 system. I love how you said we have to understand the demand first and then shape the pipeline. And I was able to share with you how we are grateful to have Superintendent Ebert Joan, not only on our board, but to be such a good partner that she is working with us to make sure these businesses that you're going to be recruiting and also retaining here, because business retention is also important, I think, that the school district is prepared and has the information they need to prepare the workforce. So I was grateful to hear that from you.
It's a big deal. In terms of, it's critical to prepare the workforce. It's also important to be a place that talent that would follow a company or come with a company, a place that they see that they could live in.
Yeah,
so the talent attraction and quality of life and quality of place component is also very critical. You have to do both.
So Danielle, you got to be in Allegiant Stadium now, and I can tell you that there was a time where nobody thought an NFL stadium here would happen. Right. There was a time here where nobody thought we could have our own hockey team or our own WNBA team or a Major Leagues baseball team, and that's all happening. This Southern Nevada is transforming itself, evolving into something perhaps nobody, could have imagined years ago. But for you, if you sit now and you say a few years from now, what would your vision for Southern Nevada look like? One of the big economic development wins we had is Haas Automation, which now you can drive by Raiders Way and see this world-class facility going up that will employ 2,500 people with high-skill, high-wage jobs. But can you give us a sneak peek about your vision for the future in the next few years?
So I don't want to overcommit to any certain industries at this stage, but I think, so this is what our strategy work is going to do. We've done a lot of work together, as you know, and probably a lot of folks listening know, looking at some priority industries. And I don't think any of that is a massive surprise. There have been looks at, AI and the future of advanced industries, advanced manufacturing. What pieces of sports and entertainment are the destination piece, but what are also industries around that, cluster industries that bring net new wealth into the community, right? So I'm always thinking about, is this component of this industry cluster bringing in net new wealth? I'm a huge fan, Scottsdale is a pretty heavy tourism community. They are interwoven completely, right? Your tourism and your ability to attract visitors then translates to them hopefully becoming residents in the future. So there are a lot of those. I would love to see us exporting more of something out. So, you lent to Haas and manufacturing, but we do also need to be cognizant of our natural environment. So what does that mean? Obviously, from a water usage perspective, can we be one of the most resilient markets? Can we be one of the most innovative in how we use and repurpose our natural resources? So I think there's a tremendous amount of potential in exploring all of that. It's interesting. I've heard a lot of folks using the phrase, well, we just need to diversify the economy. Where I want to get to with our board in this strategy process is really defining what an agreed upon outcome looks like for diversification. So I will guide and lead everybody through that visioning, but it also has to be something that we collectively own. Because if it's just Danielle saying, this is my own vision, if I don't bring everybody along with that and build consensus, then we probably won't get there.
Yeah, and I think the board members are ready. My peers, again, have been waiting for this moment. Now you're here, and so I agree. The next few weeks, months will be that of the strategy work that will produce the vision. So I wanted to congratulate you publicly. I know I've said this before. I'm being named the incoming chair of the International Economic Development Council. In addition to that, you serve on several national and regional boards. But also, one of the recent things I heard from you say that I think is important is you're going to do, you announced it at another event, but you're going to do partner with other regional agencies to do something to make sure that we have a pipeline of professionals for this profession that people fall into. You're doing something about that. So tell us a little bit about your involvement in IEDC, but also this pipeline that you're going to create within the economic development industry.
Thank you. So the International Economic Development Council is international. It is the largest professional, really the only global professional association for economic developers. So when we go to get certified, it is a profession. To get certified as an economic developer through IEDC, you have to prove that you have a minimum, before you can even sit for the exam, you have to have a minimum of 4 years committed in a role doing economic development exclusively. You have to take a large amount of coursework, and then you definitely have to study. If you don't, you'll fail. But it's a 3-part, 2-day exam. It has about a 30 to 40% first time pass rate. So it's very intense. So I do want folks, I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of being a certified economic developer since 2009. But that is a great organization. And what's wonderful about that is IEDC is also very plugged in on a federal level, thinking about economic development policy. But it is our professional association. And through that, I've had the amazing ability. All of my best ideas have come from watching other really amazing professionals do very cool things in their markets and communities. When I watched the Greater Phoenix Economic Council group grow, guess what? They were stealing ideas from Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Columbus, Ohio, and other markets. So it's really fun. Everybody thinks that economic developers are very competitive, and I know them to be my best friends in the world and people who are willing to share anything except the deal they're working on today, right? So we all know how that goes. So I'm really honored to do that, and very, very honored to be chosen by my colleagues on the board of directors with IEDC, 55 board members there nationally, who elected to put me in leadership. Then again, stuff like that, it's like, well, maybe sometimes you're just the first victim because you're willing to do the work, right? And it will be our 100th anniversary next year from the original founding organizations that emerged together to create what is today IEDC. So, so I'm obviously passionate about creating economic developers and being a professional and helping people go through the pathway that gets them to be certified. And the certification training really is a primer on learning all of the components of economic development. There's actually a deep research component in what we do. You have to understand incentives. You have to understand labor analytics. You have to develop value propositions. There's a lot of research in it. There's a lot of marketing in it. There's politics in it, right? Yeah. We all have to navigate in that. There's government work and understanding government policy and development. And then there's also understanding how to manage and run nonprofits. So it runs a huge gamut of competencies. So I got on the phone, I think on my second or third week here, and chatted with Taylor Adams up at EDON. Because I said, well, I want to meet my fellow economic developers in the state and the people who I'm going to see as my partners in crime and fellows here as we're trying to think about the larger, greater good, which is the state of Nevada. And so he and I were chatting, and he mentioned that he was doing training for his team and really investing in their professional development for economic development. And I was like, that is so cool. You're a person of my own heart. So maybe we should work together because we don't have a statewide professional association. So Taylor and I are going to figure something out. I've done a lot of teaching and training. I do teach for Oklahoma University's Economic Development Institute, which is the, I think 60 years now, longest running dedicated economic development training through that organization. So we're going to try to do that, share the brains. And I really want to see us open this up to elected officials, community members, legislators who just want to understand kind of the, basic building blocks and components of economic development, because I think a lot of times those standard pieces, if more folks were exposed to it, would have a different perspective of how to drive the economy forward.
I think it's great that you and your peers will formalize further the acquisition of skill for the possession of the profession and whatnot. I think I've shared this with you already because we've talked about it with Mary Beth, but almost a year ago, well, maybe in March of this year, we were in Washington, D.C. with Betsy Fretwell and Jerry Merritt, my board chair. And we saw on the stage a signing of an MOU of 3 organizations that are natural partners, the IEDC, the National Association of Workforce Boards and the National Association of Chamber Executives. And so they got on stage and said, it's so important that we work together to understand the needs of businesses and then build what they need. So we're committing to, to do these things together.
Which is so cool because that was new for IEDC.
Right.
And that was born out of our strategic plan at IEDC to cause some big change in how we affected the economy. So.
Yeah, no, it's so cool. And so for us, I think we said, we're doing all the work that they said needs to be done. We just don't have an MOU. So I know you, Mary Beth, and I have been talking about why not formalize something that all the work and partnership we're doing together. So again, lots of excitement about you arriving here and taking this national experience you have to make us better. Now I want to kind of talk a little bit outside of the professional because you are a hard worker. We see that already. But hopefully we also want you to have a nice balance between your life work. And so tell us about what brings Danielle happiness when you're not working. What fulfills you, recharges your batteries? What do you love to do when you're not working?
I really love economic development. well, you see, a lot of my personal passions and pastimes truly are giving back to the profession. But I don't see that as my day job. Mm-hmm. I see that as my volunteer work and things I enjoy doing. My husband is a great influence on me because he has introduced me into the world of camping. And I don't necessarily fish, but I really enjoy that he enjoys fishing. And that's when I can go camping with him. We take the camper out, check stuff out, and I can actually read a good book and relax a little bit. So those are wonderful things. Of course, everybody loves traveling. My folks are at the age now. I shouldn't say this because it's like I'm blaming them for being at the age of really loving cruises. I'm not going to lie. I really do like cruises. Yeah. They're awesome. You have so anything that allows you to go explore really amazing corners of the world, So I love any place that's got, a deep history and natural artifacts, architecture. So we just did in fact, when I got here, I made an appearance at Perspective, but I was not on the payroll yet. I had moved my furniture here. The board chair, Lori Purdue, said, "Oh, well, it's a bummer you can't make Perspective. We understand." And I said, I think I could show up that morning. So I showed up at Perspective. I said hi to everybody on stage, and I immediately ran to the airport for my vacation we'd been planning for 2 years. And we went, that was a whole a cruise on a cruise ship around the British Isles. And so we got to see some cool stuff. So I enjoy those things.
Travel.
Can't do it every month, so you need the little things in between. I used to come to Vegas so I'll have to figure out how that role reversal
Now
works.
You're here. Right. Mary Beth has promised me that the chamber organizes some trips once a year. I think last year was Italy. I can't remember what's happening this year, but I told her to put Peru on the list. Oh. Now, especially that you like artifacts and history. So we got to get on Mary Beth so that becomes... Well,
my bachelor's degree was in anthropology.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. It's a little bit of that. I was just fascinated. When I was a kid and we moved around a lot, and my dad would always take me to any museum there was. So wow. I was always fascinated. He was such a museum goer, still is, that I don't know if reading every plaque down to the full sentence like he does is quite my thing, but yeah, he's a student of history. Yes.
That's really good. I think that I enjoy spending time with your husband also at the game, and obviously his stories about growing up in the ranch were all cool. When he showed me the branding thing, that blew my mind. He said, "That's a dude's dude right there." I said, "Steve, you're the man." What advice would you give Danielle, somebody who is young? We have a lot of young people that we try to help find their way in our programs. But if there's an 18-year-old out there that looks at you and says, "Man, I'm also a military brat. I've moved around a lot, haven't found my place yet, but I'd love to have a career like Danielle's where she's made a difference in government and nonprofit economic development, and now she leads her own shop in Las Vegas." What are some key advice you can give that young person to, get on this road?
Yes. One of the things that I wish young people did more or were more encouraged to do, but I also think we have to let them know that door is open. If you're interested in an industry or a type of work, call up that leader, call up that company and say, "Can I come in and shadow you for a day?" Can I interview you about your career and what this looks like? Because I think that would change things for them dramatically. On the flip side, we need to be getting in the classrooms more and educating kids on different opportunities, because I never would have thought about a career in economic development or even government if I just didn't want to drive further. I actually, out of the skin of my teeth and dramatic luck, did I end up working in a museum in Phoenix when I had gotten an anthropology degree. I remember I got my anthropology degree and I went to and this is somebody with a bachelor's degree. So many kids aren't going to go that path, and that's perfectly fine. But I remember going to the kind of career counselor at Arizona State at the time. And I said, well, boy, there's this museum certificate, this museum study certificate. And they go, yeah, but we don't take kids that went here. So I went, or unless you have experience. I said, so wait, you're telling me because I went to school here, I can't get an advanced certification or degree here because I don't have experience, but that's how I would get a job in this field. Sense. Exactly. So it was very frustrating even thinking about that. So I got very lucky. But I think it was because I was willing to explore things a little bit outside of the box. I also waited a lot of tables in college. So I would say, that would be an interesting approach. Even if there's not an internship, I would say explore any internship that is out there, because you just never know what you might fall in love with. But lacking an internship, ask a community leader if you can sit down with them and learn about their path or learn about their organization. You never know. They might offer you one. Yeah. Because it's always those with the, that are curious.
Yep.
That are going to create opportunities.
No, I love that.
So be curious.
I love that proactive approach that you're suggesting. You be curious. You ask the questions. You generate the opportunity. That's very good. Our last question, Danielle, on the podcast, we like to highlight any upcoming LVGEA initiatives, events. I know you just mentioned Perspective just passed us. I know we have a board meeting coming up. I know we have strategy meetings coming up. But is there anything that you would like our audience, our listeners, to know about the LVGEA and its maybe what's coming up in the future?
Yes. Well, I would say if there's an audience member that's not connected with us, if they're not an investor, if they aren't aware, but they want to know what's going on, reach out. We are happy to answer questions. We're happy to do all of that. There's a ton of information on our website that's available for folks that want to explore a little more, right? If they're curious, there's research and data and all kinds of things there. I am going to be doing, have to get back to you on the dates, but we're going to be promoting it to all of our investors and partners. I'm just going to do a webinar, one, maybe two of them. That's just a conversation with the president and CEO. I'm going to give everybody a little deeper update on my insights for the first, 30, 60 days, talk a little bit about strategy and what a regional economic development organization it typically does, and then just open it up for questions.
And that'll be October or November timeframe.
Mid-October. Okay. Mid-October, we'll do the first one. And if there's a demand, we'll do another one, and then we'll probably put a recording out. So that's another way that after the next few weeks, people will be able to get more info.
Awesome. So we'll put the, I know the URL of the organization, lvgea.org.
You got it.
And then we'll encourage people to go there and check for the dates on these upcoming webinars. I love it.
Please. Yeah.
Awesome.
I want to make sure I'm accessible, and I want to hear thoughts and questions from everyone.
I think that's a great idea. Well, Danielle, I want to thank you for making the time to come spend some time with us and introduce yourself formally to more people. I know that Mary Beth and I and others are trying to make sure that we connect you as quickly and efficiently as possible so that you can be successful sooner. So I hope you know that you have a lot of people behind you.
Absolutely. I have had the utmost pleasure just hanging out with you and meeting so many folks. I can't tell you, I've never seen this warm of a welcome in any community. I love that it is such a close-knit community. It's one of the biggest small towns ever. Right?
It is, yeah.
And it's a global small town.
It is.
Because we're such a global destination.
Yeah. They say there's, 2.1 million of us and all 50 of us know each other. It's like crazy how you do that. And then one time we're going to get you saying this, but we like to say hashtag we like each other.
We like each other.
Yeah. So I'm grateful you're here. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you.
Yep. So that's it for this episode of the WC Podcast. We hope to see you at a future one. Until then, stay safe. All right, Danielle, thank you for staying over to do our bonus segment called Against the Wall. Are you ready?
I've never been more
As
ready.
ready as you can be. The first section is called Your Favorites. I'm going to give you a category and you're going to give me your favorite thing. So let's start with something easy. What's your favorite food?
Steak.
Favorite beverage with dinner?
Champagne.
Favorite dessert after dinner?
I'm not a sweets person.
Favorite car you've ever owned?
Oh, that's easy. My 1970 Volkswagen Beetle that I bought with babysitting money, and Dad and I stripped it almost down to a frame and rebuilt it.
Wow. Favorite musical group or artist?
Oh, that's a tough one.
You can give it two.
So I will share something. I'm really into yacht rock. So at the house, I will tell Alexa to play a Christopher Cross radio station, and I'm perfectly happy. I could just do that forever.
So sailing is like your anthem.
It is the thing.
Favorite book or movie?
Favorite book or movie? Oh goodness. I'm a trilogy girl, the original Star Wars trilogy.
Awesome. Favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Favorite vacation spot?
It used to be Vegas.
That's right.
So we'll stick with Vegas, and anywhere a cruise ship will take me.
All right. Favorite college sports team?
Well, I mean, I'm a Sun Devil, so I'd be pretty bad if I wasn't rooting for my alma mater.
Favorite professional sports team?
Apparently, it's the Raiders now because yesterday was incredible.
And you had all the gear. You and Steve were.
We were motivated.
Yeah.
We were very excited.
Yeah, it was great. All right, you made it through the first segment. Call your favorites. The second one, it gets tougher, and so we called it Tough Choices. Are you ready? Vacation or staycation?
Oh, vacation.
Hotel or Airbnb?
Airbnb.
Retire on a ranch or in the big city?
Big city.
Day by the ocean or hiking in the mountains?
Oh, definitely by the ocean. Hiking that requires energy and effort.
Have more time or have more money?
You can't put a price on time.
Ability to fly or to breathe underwater?
This is one of my, I've always had dreams about breathing underwater. So I feel like that's it. Although somebody told me when we had this conversation recently that, yeah, but then, what if like a big sea monster eats you? So I don't know. I'm going to stick with underwater though.
Aqua woman. I love it. Ability to speak with animals or speak any foreign language?
Animals. They're so much kinder than people.
Couldn't agree more. Sparky the Sun Devil or Lewis the Lumberjack?
Sparky.
True Sun Devil.
Good.
Truth or kindness?
Truth.
Actions or words?
Actions.
Justice or grace?
Grace.
Ah, you made it through tough choices. Good job, Danielle.
Thank you.
The last segment is called Finish the Sentence. I'm going to give you 90% of the sentence. You're going to finish it for me. If Danielle could visit any place in the world, it would be...
Egypt.
The best part about living in Southern Nevada is...
The people.
Danielle's favorite thing about being the president and CEO of the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance is...
The future.
If Danielle could travel back in time, she would travel to...
Oh, I love this one. I'd love to say, ancient Greece or something like that, but I'm a mid-century gal too. I think if I could go and see Elvis in his early years or something like that, that'd be pretty cool.
My money was on the Volkswagen rebuilding.
Oh, yeah.
That sounded like a good time. Here's a hard one. 3 words that describe Danielle are...
Oh, goodness. Energetic, committed, and... I don't know, maybe a little loud. Sometimes my husband says I do talk too loud on the phone.
Very good. And doing the WC podcast here with us today was...
Incredible.
Well, Danielle, thank you for staying over doing the bonus segment.